If you are making the pencil pouch or the cosmetic bag, you first need to decide what size you're making and cut out that pattern. So they came in 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10 inches. I've got a 9-inch pattern here, and so I am going to cut a strip 10 inches tall. Let me show you what I mean by that. So I've got this one ready to go, but I'm going to show you how I did it. You're going to get your fabric from the bin where we keep our fabrics. You're going to open it up to the point where it's still folded with the selvages touching and the original fold from the bolt is there. And then square off the top so it's lined up straight and even, and then you're going to come down 10 inches and cut straight across. So I have my piece of fabric that is the width of the bolt. Now if you can either use the safety rotary cutter or the regular one if you're trained on it. And so I'm just going to cut this strip that's 10 inches tall, but it is the size of the bolt. Okay, so it's got the selvages still on there. And really all I'm doing that for is just so that I don't waste any fabric and I keep this big piece squared off so it's ready for another project. I can put it back in the bin. Now you'll repeat that same step with whatever coordinating fabric you're going to be putting on the inside of your bag. So what we have here is our piece that's still folded in half. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open it all the way up, and I'm just going to be folding the fabric piece over just far enough for my pattern piece to fit on it, and I need the fold to line up, so I'm actually just going to turn my pattern piece over. What you need to see here is that this, where it says zipper pouch 9, this is the top, and where you look at this corner cut out, that is going to be the bottom of the bag where it stands up on the boxed edges. So this is going to be the bottom, this is going to be the top. My fabric is directional, so this only goes in one direction. I don't want my pattern piece to be upside down. So I don't want my pattern like this. I want it to be like that, okay? So you'll get it lined up just far enough. I do not want to use the selvage. So I'm going to get it lined up just like that. And I will either use pattern weights or pin the corners to hold my pattern in place. So I've just gone ahead and put a few pins in just to hold it in place. You want to make sure that your pins are inside the pattern piece. They don't come over the edge. That way, as you're cutting, you can get right up next to your pattern and not worry about running into any of your pins. If they were hanging off the edges, then my shears couldn't go past there. So that's called pinning to cut, where your pins are fitting within the inside perimeter of your pattern piece. So I'm just going to go ahead, trim that all off. So I've got my one pattern piece cut out, but my cosmetic bag or pencil bag, it has a front and a back. So I'm going to take this same pattern piece and I'm going to repeat the same step. So I'm going to take this little edge, I'm just going to square it off. I'm going to take the end and fold it over again just as much as I need to again fit my pattern piece on there on the fold. Now that's upside down. So to get it on the fold, this is the top of my pattern, this is the bottom. My little taxis are going in the correct direction. I'll lay that down, pin it, and cut it out. And then you repeat the same thing with your other fabric that's going to go on the inside of your bag. To make sure you have enough interfacing, you're going to take your pattern piece and measure the width of it going across. So this one, if I'm looking at the point, comes just over the 7 inches. I'm going to double that, so it's like 7.5 inches times 2. So I'm going to make sure my interfacing piece is 15 inches. So I'm taking it from the bolt and I'm just going to unroll it, line it up on the cutting mat, and with the 15-inch line, I'm going to cut. So this gives me plenty of interfacing for both of my pieces. So I'm going to cut that off, And then what I'm gonna do is I'm going to fold the interfacing piece in half like this. Okay, and then I'll lay my pattern piece down on the fold. And just like we did with our pattern, we're gonna cut out around it once, and then I will cut around again. So I end up with 2 pieces of interfacing the same size as my pattern. Just a quick inventory from this one pattern where you cut on the fold. You should have 2 main pieces, 2 interfacing pieces, and 2 pieces that are your liner. And then you're gonna wanna select a zipper that coordinates with your outer fabric. And you just wanna make sure that it is longer than your edge of your top so that you can have plenty of overhang on the ends as you install it. I'm gonna open up my outer piece and I'm going to lay my interfacing with the glue side, the bumpy glue side, touching the back side of the pattern. I'm actually gonna flip this over though to the fabric side. And then I'm just gonna press that interfacing on until it adheres to the back side of the main fabric. And then I'll repeat that same process on here. Now we're gonna set aside one of the outer pieces for later. You're gonna get a zipper. You'll need 1 outer piece and 1 of your liners. You're gonna take the main piece. This is the piece that's gonna be on the outside. This is actually the top of the bag, and the corners down here where the 2-inch space is cut out, that will be where we box the corners later and make it stand up. So on the zipper, I'm looking for the zipper teeth. That's the front side or the right side of the zipper. And then this is the right side of the fabric, so I'm gonna make those right sides together. And I just have my zipper end and the zipper pull off of the edge. That way I don't have to sew around them when I'm attaching my zipper. They're just hanging off the edge. And then I take my liner piece and it's gonna go right sides together. And they all line up right across the top edge of the zipper. I'm just gonna use clips, but you could use pins to hold that in place. You'll use a zipper foot then to attach the zipper. Sewing close to the zipper in the middle, about 1/8 of an inch away, right across there. So the zipper's been attached. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna flip it back. We'll go over to the iron and press it, and then top stitch. All right, so I've pressed it, and now I'm going to just top stitch along the sewn edge, 1/8 of an inch or less away from the folded edge. The top stitch is in right along here. Now we're going to repeat that same process on the other side of the zipper. All right, so for this part, we're going to take the 2 main pieces. So we've already top stitched across here. You're going to take the 2 main pieces and flip those right sides together, and then we'll take the 2 liner pieces and flip them right sides together. So right now I have both of my liner pieces over here and both of my outer main pieces over here. We are going to put 2 pins side by side in the center of the liner pieces, and that's where we will begin our sewing. And then we will leave 2 pins right here on the other edge. So that's going to be an opening that we leave to flip the bag right side out. Okay, next we're gonna open the bag slightly. We're gonna reach in and grab that zipper and unzip the zipper halfway so it's right in the middle. Now I'll take my main piece again and line it up even across the edge, and you can pin or clip just to hold it in place. Now we're gonna do the sides. With the sides, we wanna push the zipper teeth toward the liner. So you're gonna push the zipper teeth down in the liner part and put a clip or pin to hold it. And then all I need to do now is just pin or clip right here and repeat that on the other side. All right, since my last recording, I have changed to a different project. I already finished the other one and now I just need to finish recording this. So on the liner side, this is the side that does not have the interfacing. I'm gonna start at my double pins. I just have on a regular presser foot, got my machine on a 1, and I'm gonna use the edge of the foot as my guide. So I'm gonna just drop the presser foot there, pull those pins out, but that is where it marks the opening for me to start. Really important is that you back stitch, so I'm going to stitch forward and reverse. I'm gonna go all the way to the end, reverse again. Then I'm going to start on this side. So I'm not sewing, it looks kind of like an L. I am not sewing that right now. I will eventually, but not yet. So now I just need that angled side lined up with the edge of my foot. Again, we're gonna start out reversing. So from here, you're just going to stitch with the edge of your foot lined up with the edge of your fabric. Now when I get to this pin, I'm gonna pull it out ahead of time, and I'm gonna go across that needle, or the zipper. Now, if it starts to act like it's not gonna go, grab a hold from behind here and just give it a little help. You're not really forcing it, but you're just helping it cross over the zipper teeth. Now when I get here, and the angle of the bag changes, I'm gonna leave my needle down and do a slight pivot. So I'm gonna raise the presser foot and pivot. So now my edge of my foot is still aligned with this side now. Okay, when I get to the end of this line, I'll back stitch. All right, and then you're gonna repeat the same process for the other side. So what you need to do now is you need to stitch all the way across the bottom, leave open that L, then you'll stitch this side going across the zipper, leaving this L open, and then you'll still have from the edge to your double pins to stitch. The next part is to box our corners. So we have these corners that look like an L or reversed. You're going to take a hold of them and pull those seams together. So the seams will meet up in the middle. They might want to try to angle up a little bit. You'll pin there and make sure there's no crinkles. And you want to smooth it out to the corner. Now, if you took advanced or design fundamentals, you made a box zipper pouch and you boxed corners on that in a different way. So this is what it should look like. Then you're going to stitch straight across there. Again, I'm going to use the edge of my presser foot. I'm on a 1 and I'm using the edge of my foot. Make sure to back stitch. Sewn corner. Now we're gonna repeat that on the other liner corner and the 2 main pieces on the corners there. Repeat the same process. All right, next you're going to take some scissors. These are not fabric shears, but they need to be sharp enough to cut through fabric. First, we're gonna cut off the excess zipper. We'll just throw those away. Then you will go back to your corners that you boxed and just trim it close to the edge. Leave about 1/8 of an inch left of the seam allowance. You don't want to get a hole there, but if you have too wide of a seam allowance, it'll add bulk to your project. I'm going to trim right here. Just trim all 4 corners in half, basically in half. All right, then you're going to double check to make sure you don't have any tails. Clean it up as much as you can, and you're ready to flip it inside out. So how to do that is I'm going to go in here. This is the bottom liner part where we left that opening, and we've got our zipper open inside there. So I'm just going to reach through here and start pulling the bag right side out. So there's the right side of the fabric, eventually pokes through that hole. We're almost done sewing, not quite. Okay, now I can unzip my zipper the rest of the way. And it actually has my polka dot fabric is my outside. I'm gonna reach back inside that little opening, and I'm going to poke out my boxed corner of the main fabric. This is the fabric that had the interfacing. Okay, so there's that part. Now you're gonna go to the iron on the liner side, and you're gonna press that little opening. Press it to give it a crease right there across. Now that that's been pressed right there, we're gonna go to your machine. You could pick a different color, one that matches really well, but I'm just gonna use this white. And you're gonna do a very close top stitch. So that is 1/8 of an inch or less from the folded edge. You wanna make sure you back stitch where you start and stop, and that you are getting that whole opening closed up. Make sure you trim your excess on both ends. And then you're ready to push that liner down into the bag. All right, and you are finished. So you have your finished bag. You can zip it up. This would be great for keeping cosmetics, pencils. It stands up on its own because of those box corners.